Hello and welcome back everybody. Every year on New Year's Eve, the Netherlands lifts its ban on fireworks for 8 hours, from 7 p.m. till 2 a.m. During this time, the Dutch children will take to the streets and turn the otherwise peaceful streets into a war zone, using their rotjes, Thunder Kings and vuurpijlen. So, in today's episode of Lucky's Lab, I'd like to take you with me on the process of building a simulation of this strange tradition in the free game engine Godot. In today's episode, we will be building 6 different fireworks, our own street crossing to terrify, and we'll be pushing the physics simulation of Godot to its limits. Now, if you want to keep your game development skills sharp, there's a free and easy way to help you learn. Brilliant. Brilliant is the best way to learn topics like math, data science and computer science efficiently. With thousands of lessons from basic to advanced topics and new lessons being added every month, there's always something new to learn. Brilliant has a fun and interactive method of learning. With fun exercises and real-world examples, I find Brilliant really connects well with the game dev mindset. I've been really enjoying the math courses on Brilliant, but Brilliant covers a lot of diverse and interesting topics. Whether you want to up your data skills or work on writing cleaner and better code, Brilliant has you covered. Brilliant also customizes the content to fit your needs. Whether you're a math pro or could use a refresh on the basics, Brilliant has you covered. Take a quick quiz when you sign up and get matched with content that fits your skill level and interests. And the best part is, you can use Brilliant anywhere, on your phone, tablet or PC, so you can learn anywhere, anytime. Brilliant is especially great for game developers. The platform has a lot of diverse content, so no matter what's currently giving you a headache in game development, Brilliant has you covered to tackle it. So if you're a game developer who wants to improve your skills, or a beginner who's just getting started, I highly recommend Brilliant. Try Brilliant for free for a full 30 days by visiting brilliant.org/lucky or by clicking the link in my description. And the first 200 people who sign up using my link will get 20% off an annual plan at Brilliant. That's brilliant.org/lucky. Alright, let's create a new Godot project and let's get started. The first thing I do in all of my projects is add a floor to the scene. So I'll just add a basic mesh instance, make it 1000 by 1000 meters and add in my own grid texture. Link is in the description. Next off, we're gonna need a first-person controller. I've built a lot of first-person controllers in Godot. I have a full tutorial series on first-person controllers if you're interested, but in here we're just gonna create a very basic one. We'll add a character controller with a capsule collision shape and we'll add a node for its head and then a camera within that to view the game. For the script we'll use the default Godot character body template and I'll add some code of my own to add logic for looking around with the mouse. Now that we have our player controller, we can get started on the first firework, the firecracker or the rotje. I'll start off by making the models. I'll just use mesh instances within Godot. I'll add a basic cylinder for the body of the firework and a cylinder for the fuse. I'm actually going to make these fuses their own little component because all the fireworks are going to have a fuse. So I'm just going to make this a loose component and then I can slap it onto every firework I make. Next up, I'll add a basic particle system for the sparkling of the fuse. I'm not going to go very fancy with all these particle systems. I'll just add a little sparkle with just basic quads. There's going to be a lot of these on screen, so I want to keep them very simple to render. Then finally, I write up a basic script to make the fuse go down and add it to the player controller. So I can click the mouse with the player controller and spawn a firecracker into the scene. I was trying to use realistic dimensions with these fireworks, but as you can see they turned out very small and they're just not very good to look at. So we'll size them up a little bit. That's looking a lot better. Now let's work on that explosion. I'll just copy the particle system for the fuse and add a lot of explosiveness to it and some more velocity. The explosiveness property of a particle system basically means all the particles will come out at once as an explosion, which is perfect for our application. The next thing I'll do is make the firework actually explode when the fuse is all the way down, and I'll quickly dim the lights so we can see the explosions a little better. Now I wasn't really feeling the impact of these explosions and I thought a good way to add some impact is adding camera shake. So I wrote up a function in my player controller for calling camera shake and actually made a global script so every component in the game can call this function and make the camera shake whenever they want. Now on my first attempt I overdid it a little bit, so let's turn that camera shake down a bit so we can have a more realistic effect. And finally for the firecracker was sound. I'm actually gonna do all the sounds myself for this game. I'm not gonna grab anything from the internet. So I'm just gonna make the fuse sound with a combination of just hissing and tapping on my phone screen to add a little crackle effect. And for the explosion, I'm just slapping a lot of things in my room. I'm punching a book and banging my table and banging the mic itself and then just layering all these effects. Alright, so let's have a look at all those elements combined. Now I wanted to take a quick break from scripting, so I decided to get started on the scene. I'm just gonna create a street crossing, and I'm gonna use a couple of techniques in Blender here. Since the thing is mostly gonna be symmetrical, I'm just using a mirror modifier and copying the streets 2 ways, so I only have to model 1 corner. And then I'm using a bunch of array modifiers on these bricks to keep this low poly style, have all the detail in the polys, not in textures. And I'll add some road markings using just materials on planes. And I'm gonna get back to this model to up it a little bit, but for now it will be fine. So next firework, we're gonna do the Thunder King. It's basically this mortar, so it's just a tube with a ball inside that shoots out and explodes after a little while. I'm gonna start off by modeling it. So I'm basically just gonna use a cylinder and use a cube as the base for it to stand upright. I'm gonna make it yellow. And after this we'll make the ball that shoots out. So I'll create another new scene and just make this little cylinder that glows and has a sparkly particle effect. Then I'll write up a script. Basically when the fuse goes all the way down, it's gonna spawn this ball on top and add a little bit of momentum to it so it shoots out. You can see the first attempt was again a little bit of a miss. Ball's way too big, velocity way too small. So let's tweak those 2 settings. And that's looking a lot better. Last thing we'll have to do is actually make it explode. So I'm just gonna copy that sparkly effect and just like with the firecracker, amp it up a bit, give it more velocity and explosiveness. And the last thing we'll need to do is add 1 more sound effect. I'm making this thump sound effect. I'm just doing it with my voice and again slapping stuff in my room. And all together this is how the second firework turned out. Next up is a Firework Classic, the rocket, or in Dutch the vuurpijl. I'm just going to create another new scene and again start off with the model. I'm just using again basic cylinders to model out this rocket. And this one is going to be very easy. I'm just going to use a particle effect. I'm actually using the sparkle particle effect from the ball and pointing it down with a little bit more velocity. And then for the scripting, all it is as soon as the fuse goes down, add a force to the rocket and count down and then explode. Just like the ball in the Thunder King, just like the rotje. I can build these fireworks now with all these components that I've built before in the game. I added a little whistle sound effect. This is definitely the worst sound effect in the game, but it's hard to record a whistle for some reason. I haven't quite mastered it yet. But all in all, it's a classic, looks pretty good. And here's the vuurpijl, or the rocket. Next up I hop back into Blender to upgrade that road a little bit. I find that moving from scripting to modeling really helps with motivation, not doing one thing all the time, actually changing it up a little bit sometimes. So I added in some houses, some grass, and actually made it in a way that I can just copy this crossing 4 times, so I can have like this little plaza. And I dropped it into Godot, added some collision shapes and a little wall, so the fireworks just don't go everywhere. And I think that's the environment for this game done. The last 2 fireworks were very simple. I had a lot of components for fireworks now, so I could just slap them together and create new fireworks really easily. I'm actually going to create the firework box, or doos in Dutch. And it's just this box with all these little rockets and they shoot up one after another. This one is going to have 16 shots and I can just copy the Thunder King code and slap it in here, add a little timer so it goes 16 times and then despawns after that. Very easy. Last firework is actually my favorite. I'm not actually a big fan of fireworks. They scare my cat and they give me a headache. But this last one doesn't make a loud bang, so I actually quite like it. It's this little spinner, or tol in Dutch. It basically shoots out like a rocket on one side, twisting it really fast and shooting sparkles everywhere. I made it by copying the firecracker and changing its model a little bit. And instead of exploding, I'm adding a little timer where sparkles shoot out from the top of one side and it adds this rotational force to the object, making it spin and shoot sparkles everywhere. And that's where I'm gonna leave this project. Again, this project was meant to be a one-day build. I spent 3 days on it. Again, I always go way over budget on time in these projects, but I actually really like it. I feel like playing with physics in Godot really adds an unexpected twist to your games. In a lot of the prototypes I built, I feel like they end up exactly how I expected, so there's no unexpected element to it. But I think playing with physics adds a lot of randomness and fun to the game, and just playing around with these fireworks is so much fun in a little simulation. I'll see if I can export this project and throw it up on itch, so you guys can have a go at it. But that's all for today. Like and subscribe if you like what you see. My name is Lucky, and this was Fireworks in Godot, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.